Hi guys, it's Tony. So, as you know, I've been really sick, and I don't like to say like sick, but I do ask for your continued prayers because I am doing everything I can to get better. It's been a long time though, and making some decisions, having to make some decisions about treatment and how to, just how to navigate some of the things that I need to do in order to be healthier, right? All last night, I've never done a word like this, where I can't be before you physically, but this is, it's urgent, and, I felt the urgency. I knew the urgency, and all last night, and it's, my last chat with you guys last week had a similar tone, except last night and all throughout the night and this morning, the Lord was just downloading to me some things, and I literally heard yesterday, your fruit will remain. And I was, just doing my regular, mopping the floor. And I heard your fruit will remain. And I was blessed by it, of course. I mean, But as the night went on, all throughout the night, the Lord began to speak to me about that. He said, don't waste your fruit. And so he began to show me the things that are coming, the things that we've talked about, some of the things we have yet to talk about. And I just was wondering, what is going to cause this, Excuse me. But there are many factors. It's not just one. Yes, the political race and election will have much to do with it, except it's going to look like this. And this is why the word is so urgent. The Lord showed me that it's going to look like stability has come, especially for the United States. And what happens with the United States influences the globe. That it's going to look like, right now things are rocky. It's almost like our own president. It's something that because he has stepped aside from candidacy for the upcoming election, it's almost as if people forgot that he's the current president. Now, you guys know I don't endorse anyone or anything like that. I'm not getting political or that's instruction from the Lord. However, people are in such anticipation or always looking to the next thing, and that is what is going to cause so much confusion and even amongst Christians, because there are a lot of people that see this upcoming election as a fix-all, end-all, be-all, whilst there are wars and rumors of wars, including with the U.S., all of these things, trade wars and all of these things going on. But everybody's talking about this upcoming election, and people are anticipating a new economy, stability, a new world. And the Lord was showing me that is going to be the downfall of many, because there will be a brief sentiment of stability, but it's actually not stability. There are going to be people that realize that famine has come early. But then there will be people who are living their head will be in the clouds of this faux pseudo-stability because they are unable to see spiritually what God is doing. It's going to look like one thing, but God has allowed another thing. And I say God has allowed because he is allowing it. Now, when he told me, I'm sorry for fighting this, but the fruit, that your fruit will remain. He said, don't waste your fruit, meaning, there are trees, sequoias, and cedars that have stood the test of time globally. Trees that will bear fruit no matter what storms. I grew up having hurricanes every year, Evacuation is a part of my everyday life. And for years, decades, our trees, they were untouched. They were untouched. They were untouched. Eventually, one by one, the trees on our property, because of the storms, they would die, and another storm would come, and it would you could see that the tree was rotting, or the tree wasn't bearing any more pecans or figs, and the hurricanes, ravished the land. It was so fruitful. And I could have never as a child foreseen the day that I wasn't picking pecans with my grandmother, picking pecans with my own grandchildren one day. My great-grandfather planted these 10 trees for all 10 of one tree for all 10 of his kids, and on this vast property. And I never could have foreseen that it looked like this. And so what God means by not wasting your fruit is he's saying that you will continue to be fruitful, but what you do with your fruit has to be in wisdom. Just because you haven't lost a job this upcoming season, especially this next 8 months, just because your job is stable doesn't mean that you spend the way you used to spend, okay? Just because you have all of the resources that you once had. Now, mind you, and this is why so many people will be caught off guard by this famine, because I use famine very, very intentionally. They will be caught off guard because it hasn't affected their resources. But just because your resources are the same doesn't mean the cost of things are going to be the same. The cost of things are going to skyrocket. There are going to be shortages, power outages, but shortages of things. And so, there are things that I eat pretty healthy. I have to, in order to approach my health holistically. But there are things that the Lord has instructed me for a time. You need to make sure that you have the best that you can have, though it be preserved, the best that you can have in that pantry, Tony. Think of it like how it was during the early days of COVID, except we are looking at another sweep of COVID for sure. God has already said that there will be a need for masks, but he kind of showed me that a part of that is not just because of a pandemic, but also because of air quality. I don't know exactly why that is. I just only can tell you what the things that he has said to me. But your fruit will remain because you are wise with it, okay? You will stand the test of time like those trees. You will continue to bear fruit in the middle of the storms. But what you do with that fruit is what matters. And I don't mean just financial resources and food and what you spend your money on, but also what you do with people in this time, the relationships you build. Because even during that time, God is going to call many of us to help those in need. So it won't be a time where you're going to be like, oh, I got what I got. It's going to get so bad that it's going to be hard to look at your neighbor, look at the people down the street, look at people Homelessness, you think it's bad now. It's going to be bad. It is not the time to go out and buy new things if you don't need them. It's not the time to go get a new mortgage if you don't need it. It's not the time to go in. Now, like I said, if God, I said this last week, but if God has instructed you to do something in faith, I'm sorry. And absolutely, you trust God and you follow his instruction. But it's not the time that just because things are looking up politically, or if you think they're looking up politically, or they're looking up in your job, even if you're up for a promotion, that promotion is meant to carry you through a season that is going to be dire for many. You know, just because you will have doesn't mean you'll have everything that you want. And a lot of us we get our needs confused with our wants. And a lot of things that we have that we think are needs are actually wants. We're coming in a time where even people with jobs and resources are going to need to choose wisely what they spend on. There are going to be some things like student loans that have to go into default. There are going to be some bills that just are not going to be the priority. And when you look at the grand scheme of things, that is going to cause the U.S. to turn on its side. It already is. But what people don't realize is things like, and God showed me this, what people don't realize is things like student loans fund our government. They fund our government. When they hand out that money is pretty much it's not physical money. You can get the money out of the ATM when you get a loan or a grant. But the truth is, the U.S. is in an eternal deficit right now. That money is almost invisible. And that's the truth. That money is always almost invisible. The reason they press you about paying it on time, the reason the government didn't want to forgive student loans, now I'm not getting into it politically or anything like that, but the reason why the government, Congress felt like they couldn't afford to do something like that is one, I'm not going to get into that, but it's because that money funds the government. So even if they're giving you invisible money, they're giving it to you so that when you pay it back, you're paying your actual hard-earned cash. I need you to listen to me. So you're actually paying money that may not exist with them in the first place, but you are funding the government. And so there are going to be bills like that don't take precedence over feeding your family. And that money funds the government. You're going to see a decline, a weakening U.S. government. And people can't imagine that right now at all. Because a lot of people think with Biden out of the way, they got the weak link out of the way. Well, there's a lot more to it than that. Again, I have no political ties or anything like that. Go listen to the last word I released because it's instructive. Be very, very careful of voting. If you vote, how you vote. If it's necessary for you to vote, what is God saying for you in your household? Because, again, when you sign your name on a dotted line to vote, you endorse a person and everything they believe in. Not just the things that you're voting for them for, but everything. And God takes that personally. You've come into contract and agreement then, okay? And so we have to be very, very mindful in this hour. But your fruit will remain, my loves. It doesn't mean you panic. It doesn't mean you stop doing the things you have to do. It doesn't mean that you don't take care of the homeless and give to the needy. That's things that we must continue to do. This is not a time to get selfish. Because selfishness giving is a cycle, And so I am a person that gives. I believe in giving, and I've seen my life flourish even in the hardest of times because I am a giver. I am. And so this is not a time to be selfish, but it is a time to be wise, And so I needed to leave this with you. It's super, super important right now. getting loud outside, so I'm going to go. But don't fret. Don't be scared. Things are coming. Things are happening. Don't be lied to by the pseudo stability that we think is coming, or there is a great sweeping of pain coming, especially for the United States, which we haven't seen in over half a century. This will be very the modern version. I'm sorry. Stop it. I'm sorry, you guys know Caesar. Modern version of a depression. And the way to prevent yourself from being swept away with everyone else is to use wisdom. Because there will be non-believers that are using wisdom. There are some people you don't have to be prophetic necessarily to see what's coming, to know that something is not right. They want me to believe everything is right, but something's off. Something's not right. I can feel it. Something's not right. Some of you are having dreams, and you're like, something's not right, And I wanted to leave you with that. I love you guys. I'm praying for you, and I pray to see you soon.